When will I sell Workhorse? What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor. I got the hoodie to prove that fact. And now we're going to be speaking about what I get asked about an awful lot on this channel. When would I sell my baby? When would I sell Workhorse stock? This is something I've spoken about several times on the channel, and it's literally been the same for months and months now. I understand why more people are asking. I mean, we're crashing. As of right now, we are below $20 a share, and I will be the first to tell you I did not expect this to happen. And it is not good, and this is no longer just a dip, this realistically is a crash. From our recent highs of above $30 a share, we are down more than 36% as of recording. That isn't a dip, my friends. Now, there's a few reasons I believe this is happening. I've spoken about most of them in the past, but that's not even what I want today's video to be about. In today's video, I want to give you guys the circumstances under which I would decide to sell or trim my Workhorse position. And let me tell you, it has essentially nothing to do with the stock's price straight off the bat. I'm not going to give you price targets or anything like that. I'm not going to be speaking about when I would sell to take profits whatsoever either. That is not how I work as a long-term investor. I'm going to speak about which fundamentals would have to change. So guys, right before we get into today's video, can I please ask you to hit that juicy like button? In today's video, I really want to show you guys why I'm not worried about what is happening with Workhorse right now and what my plan is, so you guys are on the exact same page as me. If you're new around here, please consider hitting that juicy red subscribe button and joining the family of investors. And drop me a comment down below. I want to know what you're doing with your Workhorse shares, because I know at these prices, there's a lot of people who are scared. I mean, I see it on a daily basis right now. So let me know how you're feeling. Are you taking advantage? Are you buying more? Or are you selling or trimming? With that being said, let's just get into it, my friends. So let's just start it off with the stocks chart, okay? Am I going to sell somewhere between 15 and 18 because we have a lot of resistance there? No, the first thing I want to explain is that with me, as of right now with Workhorse, the stock price does not matter whatsoever. I want to make that clear from the very beginning. When I decided to become a long-term investor, I decided, you cannot really worry too much about short-term price fluctuations. That is part of investing, my friends. That is something that's always going to happen, especially if you're like me and you're getting into speculative growth stocks like Workhorse, like the large majority of SPACs, you know what I mean? These are all somewhat relatively speculative growth plays. So there's going to be massive swings in the upwards and downwards positions on a regular basis. So I mean, remember this, when Workhorse went up over 70% in a matter of what, 2 weeks? Everybody was over the moon, okay? Everybody was so happy with Workhorse. And then we went into this major crash. We dropped 25%. The broader EV market did the exact same thing. It was predominantly led by Tesla, and an overall market crash that has been happening in general. I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it. I think things are going to be absolutely crazy until the election is over and done with, until we know more about the next stimulus package. I do think it's that simple for pretty much every single company. And that's why I don't worry too much in regards to these short-term price moves. I mean, yes, I could have sold at 30 and I could have made some nice money. That's not what I decided to do. The first reason I would sell Workhorse would be if we get 0% of the USPS contract. Now, let me explain myself a little bit. I've said on the channel before, I plan on being a long-term investor with Workhorse, and I plan on holding them for 5 to 10 plus years. And that stands regardless of whether or not we get the USPS contract. But I do think that it would be ignorant even for myself or any long-term investor to believe that if we get 0% of the contract, we're going to go up in value over the following days. I think everybody at this stage knows there's going to be a pretty major sell-off, and I mean major. So I'm not going to be ignorant about it. I'm not going to, say diamond hands. I would sell because fundamentals would have changed absolutely massively. And if it happens when we're about $20 or $25 a share and we get 0% of the contract, I'll be the first one to tell you that Workhorse will be in the short term very, very overvalued. So it would be a smart idea to sell, because fundamentals have changed. That's why I am also of the opinion though that at current prices, Workhorse is at good value. Look at all the catalysts we've seen lately. Look at all the people we have been hiring, my friends. Look at the strategic partnership with somebody like Hitachi. That just goes to show that something is coming, whether it's the USPS contract or maybe it's a contract with Walmart or any other major retailer. Something is coming where production is going to go up massively one way or another. We've also raised over 270 million worth of capital. We're in quite a decent cash position. Something is coming one way or another. Workhorse, in my opinion, is now a very different company than it was back here, May. So yes, when we went on this initial run up, I would have said that Workhorse was overvalued at $16, $17, $20 a share. but with everything that's come out over the last 3 months or so, I actually don't think we're too overvalued. Now, of course, in the short term we still are, and people are going to say we're extremely overvalued when the next earnings report comes out, because I don't believe revenue is going to be coming in too high. But I do think that literally 1 year or 2 years down the line, Workhorse is going to look like a much better company than it is right now, USPS contract or not. So yes, I more than likely will sell. It's not a guarantee, but I more than likely will sell if we get 0% of the contract for a short period of time, with the intention of getting back in at a cheaper price. Now, I know people say, don't time the market, it's about timing the market, not timing the market. Yes, I understand that, but that saying was, brought up for dividend investors or index investors, relatively safe investors. Those stocks generally aren't going to see a movement like Workhorse will if they get 0% of the contract. So I don't ever try to time the market, but sometimes it's so disgustingly obvious what's going to happen, I think it's okay. I also just realized I looked up Workhorse Stock before I started recording this video, so yeah, shout out to if you saw that. So that's the first reason, and that's the main reason. I think that's what everybody expects. I mean, there's a lot of people thinking the same as me. We love Workhorse as a company, we're invested very heavily in it, we don't mind seeing it drop from 30 to 19. In fact, for a lot of us, it's going to give us an opportunity to buy more. I'm considering buying more as of right now. But we're also not ignorant to the fact that, it could well dip massively if we don't get the contract. So the reason for that is that fundamentals will have changed, and that brings me on to the second reason I would sell. If fundamentals change. So now let me speak about what I need to see happen over the next, 6 to 12 months for me to be confident being a long-term Workhorse investor. Because remember, we're getting into a company at a particularly exciting stage of its life cycle where there are so many short-term growth catalysts that could come to fruition. But at the end of the day, they need to come to fruition for this to be worth our investments, for it to be worth our time. If they don't come true, then we're going to lose money. It really is that simple. If production and delivery numbers don't go up, we are going to lose money. That's how this industry works. So we know Q3 earnings are coming up relatively soon, and the general consensus by analysts is that we're going to have about $400,000 worth of revenue. So from Q2, we only had 92,000. It's a massive increase, okay? But they are very, very insignificant figures. I mean, extremely insignificant figures. For a company of this size with a market cap that we have now of over $2 billion, that was $3 billion, that revenue may as well be zero. And remember, I'm a Workhorse bull, I'm not trying to beat down the company, but it may as well be. So what I need to see is not Q3 earnings. I already know in my head I don't care too much for the revenue, the EPS, etc. I do care about what they have to say when they upgrade, their catalysts, etc. But what I need to see is a decent Q4. I mean, we need to see some real deliveries. We need to see at least a couple million worth of revenue. But more important than that, yet again, is going to be next year. Our Q1, Q2, but particularly Q3 and Q4. Until I can see how next year plays out and how fast this company really can grow and if they can deliver on their promises, we're not going to be sure if it's going to end up being a really fruitful investment. But that's Workhorse. I mean, that is growth stocks. That is literally what they are. You're investing before they are very well established so that you can get loads and loads of growth. That is the second reason I would sell. If fundamentals change, okay? If we keep getting really bad quarters, if they can't do the things that we expect them to do, if they can't get, production up to 20 or 30 vehicles a day next year, like the CFO and the CEO have said, if we can't get a major contract, which I will be extraordinarily surprised if we don't, considering how many more employees we have and the partnership with Hitachi, etc. I think we already have a contract, in all honesty, whether it is USPS or it's somebody else, because I mean, as a company in Workhorse's position, you can't just afford to take on 200 plus new employees and all of this new debt. You can't do that unless there is going to be improved cash flow. It really, really is that simple. So in my head, I'm convinced that there is something big waiting to be announced, and I do expect it to be announced by the end of the year. But who knows? But guys, the main reason I'm making this video is because I'm seeing so many people panic here. And I've told you guys, what's really funny is that before we briefly hit $30 again with Workhorse, the day before that happened, I told you guys to sell the next day if you aren't going to be able for this. I called the second $30 spike. Now, I didn't sell because I don't care to sell at $30. I genuinely see Workhorse as a 10x opportunity. So why would I sell at 100% if I could sell at, 1000%? I would rather hold it. I would rather hold and lose 50% or make 1000%. That's the way I'm looking at Workhorse right now. I don't care for 100% profits. I don't care for taking 30%. I don't care for swinging 10%. That's not the kind of investor I am. I've seen so many people as of late who want to be long-term investors, but they're not able for it. It's people who were up maybe 50% even in Workhorse. They got into the party a little bit late. and you know, they were up at $30 and they were really happy, but now we've dropped back down and they don't know what to do. This is part of long-term investing. It really is that simple, my friends. If you're not able for this kind of movement, maybe you should become a swing trader, or maybe you should trim positions more often when you're in the green. It's going to be less stressful for you. That's just not who I am as a person. So they are literally the 2 times I would sell if it comes out that we have none of the USPS contract, or if fundamentals change over the next year or so. Doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Notice how I didn't give price targets. Notice how I didn't say I'll sell if we hit $16 a share, or I'll sell if we hit $60 a share, because that doesn't matter to me, and it shouldn't matter to you if you are a long-term investor. 2 things happen in the stock market. You can either make money or you can lose money, especially when we're speaking about growth stocks and relatively small market cap growth stocks that you're getting into at a relatively early or exciting stage of their life cycle. That's where I stand. You know, I have no intentions of selling right now unless one of those 2 things happen, and I do potentially have intentions of buying. If it wasn't already such a large position in my portfolio, I would 100% certainly have bought more at these prices. Now please remember guys, I'm not a financial advisor. We're speaking about Workhorse here. We're speaking about a grow company. I'm not telling you to go buy these guys. I'm not telling you to sell your shares. I'm just giving you my thoughts and opinions, and hopefully it can help you realize what kind of investor you are and what you should be doing with your shares. Again, I literally told people that if you weren't going to be ready for this, to sell the second time we hit $30, and we did that. But I just wanted to make that video for you guys, because obviously I speak about this company so much. This is one of the questions I get asked the most. There is the answer. I'm going to try not to address this too much in the future, but there we have it. So boom, there we have it, my friends. Exactly where I stand on Workhorse. 0 intentions of selling right now unless one of those 2 things happen. I'm still as big a bull as I always have been. I'm as big a bull as I was at $14 a share and $30 a share, baby. It really is that simple. I think everybody who invested in Workhorse is going to at least learn something about themselves and the kind of investor that they truly are when this is all said and done. You're either going to learn that you can invest in these companies and you can believe in yourself, or else you're going to see that you can't really handle the volatility, and that's fine, that's okay. You know, this kind of investing isn't going to be for everybody. You're going to have a massive risk tolerance, you know. You're going to have to be somewhat emotionally detached from your investments. And there's nothing wrong with being any kind of investor, but Workhorse will teach you what kind of one you are very quickly with these levels of volatility. But anyway, my friends, if you enjoyed today's video and took some value from it, could I please ask you to hit that like button, drop me a comment, and subscribe if you're new around here. We're so close to 50,000, my friends. It would mean the world to me if we could do that. And if you are interested, please hit that first link in the description. Sign up to become a patron. You'll get full access to my private Discord group, 400 plus patrons, loads of juicy information. It's a really nice place to go when you're feeling panicked, you know, with everything that's been happening with Workhorse. You get to discuss it with a lot of level-headed individuals. It's really interesting. But anyway, my friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. If you've watched all the way till the end, you are a true legend, my friend. Peace.